Thank you. The next petition is petition number 1969 to amend the law to fully decriminalise abortion in Scotland, lodged by Gemma Clark. And it calls on the Scottish Parliament to urge the Scottish Government to bring forward legislation to fully decriminalise abortion services in Scotland and make provisions to ensure abortion services are available up to the 24th week of pregnancy across all parts of Scotland. Now, we previously considered this petition at our meeting on the 22nd of February, where we agreed to seek the views of a number of stakeholder organisations. Following that discussion, we have received responses from the Humanist Society Scotland, the Society for the Protection of Unborn Children, the British Pregnancy Advisory Service, the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Scotland, the Christian Education and Research Organisation, Care for Scotland, the Free Church of Scotland, the British Medical Association, and also from the petitioner. And we've also received a submission from Monica Lennon MSP, who is unable to join us in person today, as well as an update from the Scottish Government which highlights the commitment in this year's programme for Government to review the law on abortion. Now, requests to provide written evidence have also been received from the Scottish Council on Human Bioethics and the Evangelical Alliance. Those in support of the petition suggest that abortion should be treated as a medical rather than criminal matter, and that decriminalisation would bring Scotland in line with international human rights standards. In contrast with those concerns about moves to decriminalise abortion, argue that keeping abortion within criminal law is essential for women's safety, as there must be a way of prosecuting abusive partners who seek to pressure or coerce a woman to abort a pregnancy. Responses also argued that the majority of abortions are carried out not on medical grounds, but because the pregnancy is unwanted, and raised concerns that reforms could introduce the possibility of sex-selective terminations. So we have the requests from the Scottish Council on Human Bioethics and the Evangelical Alliance to provide written evidence, but that, of course, depends on suggestions that there might be from within the committee in relation to how we might take forward the petition. Do colleagues have any suggestions? David Torrance.
Thank you, Convener. I wonder, in light of evidence that we have, if the committee would consider closing the petition under Rule 15.7 of Standard Orders, on the basis that the Scottish Government have committed to reviewing the law on abortion to ensure that it is first and foremost a healthcare matter, rather than focused on criminal law, with the intention of publishing potential proposals for reform before the end of the current Parliament session 2026. And can I remind the petitioner that if the Scottish Government doesn't do this, they're entitled to bring the petition back to the Petitions Committee.
And hopefully also be in a position to submit any views to the consultation on any legislation. But I think given that there is a legislative consultation coming forward in relation to this area, that probably is a sensible suggestion for the committee at this time. Are committee members minded to approve Mr Torrance's suggestion? We are. Thank you. That brings us to petition number 1991 to develop an educational resource on abortion. And this is the last of our continued petitions today, and it was lodged also by Gemma Clark. And it calls on the Scottish Parliament to urge the Scottish Government to work with Education Scotland to develop a health-focused and stigma-challenging educational resource on abortion and to make it available to all secondary schools in Scotland. And we last considered this as well on the 22nd of February, where we agreed to write to stakeholder organisations. From whom the Association of Directors of Education in Scotland, the General Teaching Council for Scotland, the Society for the Protection of Unborn Children, COSLA, the Scottish Catholic Education Service and the petitioner have submitted responses. And copies of those responses were submitted and circulated with our meeting papers this morning. Now, I draw members' attention to the responses from the COSLA and Association of the Directors of Education in Scotland, which note that materials linked to the ask of the petition are in fact already available, with work already taking place in schools to deal with the issues raised by the petition. COSLA also states that Curriculum for Excellence allows teachers, schools and local authorities to design a curriculum that fits their own local context, and the result of this being that there is no mechanism where all schools will be compelled to use any specific materials. And similarly, the response from the Scottish Catholic Education Service notes the availability of resources and advice for young people, also highlighting that schools are not the sole providers of education, and the close partnership between schools and the wider school community serves young people well in ensuring they have access to qualified expertise relating to the health, social, physical, spiritual and mental well-being. In view of the responses that we've received, therefore, do members have any comments or suggestions? Mr Torrance.
Thank you, Convener. I wonder, in light of evidence that the committee has received, if we would consider closing the petition under Rule 15.7 of Standing Orders on the basis that education material linked to the ask of a petition already exists, including a relationship, sexual health and parenthood resource, which was developed by a partnership of local authorities and health boards with advice from Education Scotland and the Scottish Government, and also a flexible, affordable by curriculum of excellence means that there is no mechanism where all schools will be compelled to use any specific material.
Thank you. Colleagues minded to support? So I thank Gemma Clark for both the petitions, but in view of the response that we've received, I think the committee feels that appropriate work is being taken forward and there's no further role that the committee can usefully perform. Agenda item 2 today is the consideration of new petitions.